Right, let's drop an RBD configure. So this will pack and prepare all of the geometry for the simulation. Alt click to just tidy this up a bit, like that. Okay, let's visualize that. Now straight away what I'm going to do is just drop a delete node, just to isolate one of these pieces. If I just come in here and grab one of these, so just grab that, delete that actually, two delete nodes there, and delete non-selected, so we're just isolating that, and then drop a RBD bullet solver again here. The reason I'm doing this, just I want to see the collision geometry. It's always a good idea to look at your collision geometry. By default you don't see it, so you've got to turn it on. Come into the visualize tab and show geometry representation, and then we can see it's quite a lot bigger than our actual geometry, and that's controlled by you've either got it here, solver, your collision padding. Okay, so if I put that to 0, you can see there's nothing there. Put that back to default, or you can do it here, which is what I'm going to do. Go into collision shapes, we can change the collision geometry representation. You can use a box, which is really fast, or a sphere, which is even, which is I think the best. Obviously this has no relation to the shape of our piece, so going to stick to convex hull, but bring down the collision padding considerably. I'm going to bring this down to 0.01, I think. Okay, so there's still a little bit there, almost imperceptible, but it's better than nothing. And it's important, I find, to if I'm visualizing lots and lots of pieces and trying to see the geometry representation, I find Houdini crashes. So just isolate one piece and then configure it to that. Then I'm going to turn this off, just get rid of them now actually. Another thing we're going to do is play around with this active attribute. So anything which is active can be affected by forces and other active objects. They can move around and be actually simulated. If they're inactive, they'll just be static, they'll stay in place, or they will be animated if there is animation on there, which we will have. So for this active attribute, we're going to use bounds, which is like a kind of like a group, or this bounding geometry. So we're going to plug something in here. So the middle will be we'll make a group here which will grow out towards the edges over time, right? So for that geometry, maybe can we visualize the active group? Oh, didn't like that for some reason. Let's see, can we make a visualizer with this? No, I don't know why that's not showing up. Let me drop a null here, and maybe we could do it there. Let's see, we should have an active attribute there. Click on that. Why isn't that working? Tell you what, easy way to do it. Delete. And at active 0. Okay, delete selected, delete, set this to points. Non-selected. Okay, so if I just drop a box in here now, plug it into there, and if this box is way bigger like that, you can see what it's selecting becomes active now. Okay, because anything in the box is active, anything out of the box is not active. Right? So all of these pieces now will have an active attribute of 1 there. Okay, so back to the scene view, and let's make a more interesting shape with this box. Okay, I'm going to template that, view the box, and let's bring it back down to 1 here, and then I'm going to make it 5 by 5 and just move it over a bit. And I'm actually going to make the size in X to be 0, so it starts off with nothing being selected, nothing in the group. Okay, and I'm going to set this to polygon mesh, that way it got some divisions, and because I want to add some noise to these faces, just do this to 100, that should be enough for us. So let's drop a mountain on this. Okay, and you can see we got negative values there, that's why it's going inside out. So turn off center noise, and that means it will be added on top of the current position, so it's just move it, you know, along the normals in the only into positive values. Okay, let's give it a bigger element size, so each piece is bigger. I'm going to change the noise to flow and get rid of the roughness, so I don't want any roughness there. And I'm going to animate the height. Okay, so at the beginning the height is 0, so again selecting nothing on the first frame, and then on frame 75, about there, I'm going to push the height up to 10. Oh, not the height, sorry, element size, the height to 10, and then Alt click on that again, so that way it will grow over time. And you can see we've got some kind of ease in, ease out there. So just go into your animation editor, select both these keyframes and set this to linear. Okay, and then after that, so I like it to keep growing but not change the, you know, this noise. I want this noise to stay the same. So we need a group for this front part and this back part, and it's easier to do that before the mountain. I'll show you why. So here, if I do this by normals, set the direction to X, and then bring the spread angle down, you can see it's just selecting the faces on this side. Just call this back, then do another, and then just change the direction to -1, and then call this front, or left and right, doesn't matter really, just a different name for each of them. And then drop a transform after the mountain. Okay, and select back or front, doesn't matter. And then so that mountain, if we remember, the animation stops at frame 75, and I'd like it to continue moving, but you know, from that frame, from frame 75. So Alt click on the X component. Okay, select that back attribute, and then move up, yes, in this direction to 6. That looks good. Oh, sorry, we need to 0 on 6, and then go to frame 200 and push this up to 6. Alt click to actually make that change. Okay, so there you can see it will grow from frame 0. The actual noise will grow, and then that noise will stay the same but be transformed along the line. And again, we've got that problem with the easing in and easing out, so just select that, set it to linear, press enter, back to the scene view, and then just do the same thing, Alt click and drag on that transform, but go to that last keyframe on frame 200 and set this to -6 now, so it goes in the other direction, and grab the other group, so the front, and delete the back group from that. Okay, so now, there we go, so they grow together from nothing at the beginning, and then grow together out to the end, but I don't want these to go all the way to the end. Okay, I'd like to leave a chunk at the end which is not being selected, which never becomes active, so you know, we're leaving kind of a rough edge at the end of our geometry. And we can also, if we go back here to about this, you know, where that first keyframe is, just looking at what's being selected there, we've got, I'd like to bring these kind of peaks over, so we can play around with this offset just to, you know, make a different selection. Maybe something like that. There we go, that's good. So there I'm grabbing a big chunk on the edge, and you know, we've got a nice bit of difference between the two. Okay, so you know, the pieces at the front here will become active before these pieces, and they will fall, and they'll give us a more interesting edge to our fracture, right? So that's ready to go into the here, and then if we visualize the active there now, turn that off, just play that through, you can see how that grows in an interesting way. Okay, so these pieces will be active and will fall. They'll still stay glued to the other pieces, and kind of will have some nice bending, and you know, it will collide with the active attributes, with the inactive pieces also. Okay. Okay, so that's all good and ready to go now.